Oh boy, can't wait to see the comment section on this video. Hi there! Today I woke up and I decided to talk about one of the most taboo subjects regarding gear reviews on YouTube, and I wanted to offer you a transparent look at what's going on behind the curtain. After being in this scene for about 3 years, 177 videos, and around 50,000 subscribers, thank you all by the way, I have a bit of experience and certain views about shilling, sponsorships, and review biases that I'd like to share. So today, I wanted to invite you to join me in a trip down this particularly messy rabbit hole. Now, before we even start, let me put out a couple of disclaimers out there. First, those of you watching that have already made up your minds that all YouTubers are not to be trusted, I'm not trying to convince you that you should trust me, or anyone else for that matter. This video isn't really about that. In fact, you might be even more distrustful after watching this. Second, these are just my views and what I've done to maintain what I understand as my own sense of integrity and transparency. I'm not trying to portray myself as some sort of paragon of righteousness, and I don't see myself as any sort of moral role model. I'm just trying to do the best that I can, but I also get things wrong plenty of times, so you might disagree with me and what I share here. So please know that you are more than welcome to present any and all counter arguments and observations down in the comments below. Hopefully, we can all benefit from a civilized conversation. So going back to my initial question, is SynthTube or a gear review channel unsustainable without shilling? To attempt to answer that, let's first put ourselves in a scenario where I would try to sustain my channel only with viewership earnings from AdSense and what my patrons have been kind enough to support me with. Basically, what it would look like if I wanted to do GearTube with absolutely no sponsorships or affiliate links or gear for video reviews or so-called shilling suspect activities. To make my point, I want to show you my earnings from YouTube in the last 12 months. This is the revenue that I've earned from AdSense after getting around 1 million views, publishing an average about 3 videos a month for a total year. If we then add my Patreon earnings, it adds up to just under $6,000. So my YouTube income is around $500 a month on average. Now, let me be clear here. I'm very proud and tremendously grateful to have the support of my Patreons and the good fortune of being able to generate any income whatsoever from what is basically my passion: synths, music, gear. Now, that being said, however, if we consider this from strictly a business end point of view, that amount barely covers the cost of what I spent buying the Subsequent 37, the Pro 3, and the MPCX SE. And that's only 3 devices out of the more than 20 that I've reviewed or covered in the last 12 months on my channel. Even if we don't stop to consider the video making costs like cameras, lighting, editing software, etc., I think it's pretty clear that a review channel where you buy all your gear is not only not profitable, but financially unsustainable. At some point, you need the support of the manufacturers and retailers in order to be able to at least borrow the gear you want to review and show it off to people. But the question still remains though, is it possible to do that without becoming a shill? Well, what is a shill? What do you understand as a shill? Cambridge Dictionary defines it as to help another person, a gear company in this case, to persuade people to buy something, especially by pretending to be a satisfied customer. Let's back up a bit. By pretending to be a satisfied customer. Well, according to that definition, it's pretty easy to see why the word is so often used to describe YouTubers. After all, most of us offer reviews from a customer's point of view, even if we haven't actually bought the product, and technically, we aren't really customers. However, in my definition of shill, I might add to omit information, to embellish or lie about a product to make it seem better than it really is in order to profit from sales or publicity. And that's why I think that the word is too freely used nowadays, because at least most of the YouTubers that I have a personal relationship with and that I talk to, including myself, are constantly trying to avoid shilling as much as humanly possible. Now, don't get me wrong, there are of course proper shills out there. People that get into this gig that are willing to sell their grandmother and their little brother's puppy dog to get the bag of cash. Shills have to exist, I'm sure they do, but I'd wager that not only are they the minority, but that they probably don't prosper much either, at least not most of them, and I'll tell you why. If you think about it, shilling is actually a pretty bad long-term strategy for a YouTube channel. Now, let me explain. The whole currency of a YouTube channel, at least one that does reviews such as this one, is that you as a viewer are getting your information from someone whose opinion you trust. The shilling strategy falls apart when you realize that if I, for example, started hiding the problems that I find in the devices that I review, or if I started recommending gear that isn't up to snuff, people would quickly begin to lose trust in my opinion as a reviewer, because they'd see that what they're buying isn't what I'm selling. Consequently, my viewership would go down, and then the companies who are looking for publicity basically would stop sending me gear or sponsoring me because I no longer have any value for them. It's a lose-lose to all of those involved. So even if a company wanted me to shill for them or embellish their mediocre product, it's actually in their best interest that I don't. That being said, review bias is absolutely a thing. It's been scientifically proven. A sponsored review will tend to be much more favorable than a non-sponsored one. But I'll go one step further and say that it's pretty much impossible for a review to be absolutely unbiased, unless it's made by an AI, and we've all seen how those turn out. Now, being really self-critical, some of my most biased reviews have actually been about things that not only weren't sponsored, but that I bought and paid for myself. See, the need to justify my purchase or my initial excitement over a product have many times bled into or colored my opinions in retrospect, even when at the time I was trying to be as level-headed as possible. Let's not forget, the only reason I believe I can even offer an opinion on any of these things is because of my previous experience with other devices that I've tried. And what is experience but the biggest bias of them all? How would my review of the Pro 3 have looked if I had never played on a Moog Subsequent 37, for example? Would I have been as impressed and blown away by the original Polybrute if I had already been an owner of an Oberheim OB6, for example? Previous experience is always a double-edged sword because, on the one hand, it will unavoidably make your review biased, but on the other, without experience and something to weigh against, how can you really tell how good or bad something is? You can only appreciate a warm summer day if you've ever been shivering out in the cold gray winter. So how have I tried to avoid this positivity bias associated with sponsorships and free gear and whatever? Well, I have a secret. Funnily enough, it's a secret that I found out that other YouTubers that I admire also have. I just seek out the gear that I like and that I am excited about, and I'll usually just review that. If I don't like something or I can't find what makes it interesting, I don't make a video about it. That way, my positivity in my videos isn't because of me being a shill, it's my genuine excitement over something that made me happy. You might not know this, but I'm constantly passing on offers of free gear and sponsored videos because the devices that I'm being offered don't interest me, or that I maybe think that it's something I wouldn't buy for myself. And the reason is, in order to review something, you have to first understand it. And to understand it, you need to study it through and through. And the thing is, studying takes time. And at 41 years old, I simply don't have the luxury or even the desire to waste my time on things that quite simply don't interest me. And going one step further, if something doesn't interest me, how am I supposed to make it interesting for you? And that's how I've avoided what I conceive as shilling, by actually finding things that I love and that I would use, and trying to reach out to the people that make them or that sell them and see if we can make an agreement so that I can have access to them so I can show them to you later. So to answer my original question, yes, a YouTube channel based on reviews is unsustainable if you don't have the support of people who believe in you, like Patreons, and people who are willing to help you out, like sponsors and companies that share your vision. But that doesn't mean that you have to become a shill to do any of it either. On my end, I'm always going to try to keep it honest, passionate, and truthful, because if not, why would you even want to watch my videos in the first place? As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful, or at least entertaining. Have a great week. See you next time.